Yo, what is up, guys? My name is Nicholas Earl, and welcome back to another edition of Baseball Talk with the All Brothers. And today we continue on some prospect content here because we've done prospects that will debut and have an impact. We've done prospects that won't be non-debuting prospects to keep an eye out for this year. And now let's just talk about the teams in general. We're going to be ranking every single MLB team's farm system from 30 to 1 based on a few different things. How many top 100 prospects you have according to MLB Pipeline, where those prospects are in the top 100, and then the another thing we'll be looking at is how many prospects does each team have that are rated 50 or higher on the 20 to 80 scale, which generally speaking 50 or higher is a regular MLB player that should be getting starts in the MLB. So that kind of judges the depth of the farm system without having to look at top 100 prospects and things along those lines. So we'll get it started. We'll be quick through the first couple here. The Houston Astros are number 30 on this list because they currently have nobody in the top 100, and they have five prospects in. They have five prospects that are rated 50 or higher. This is not really much of a surprise. The Astros have not had a good farm system the last few years, and uh, when you go through a stretch of winning like the Astros did over the last few years, you're going to have a weaker farm system most of the time, especially if you're not a major market team. Because I mean, we see the Dodgers do and stuff like that. But when you look at the Houston Astros, their top guys, oh wow, they actually have someone that came up and now he's the number one guy on the new rankings, and that's Kevin Alvarez. Not a top 100 though. The Astros were the only team without a top 100 prospect. They have five of 50 or higher, which is not that great. We'll move on. Number 29 on the list is the San Diego Padres, and the only difference between the San Diego Padres and the Houston Astros is Cruz Schoolcraft is the 88th rated prospect in all of Major League Baseball. So they have a top 100 prospect because they have the exact same amount of 50 plus graded prospects with five, which is Schoolcraft, Ethan Salas, Miguel Mendez, Cash Mayfield, and Humberto Cruz. Great question. Out of all those, is how many of those will actually throw a pitch for the Houston or for the San Diego Padres, and that'll probably be or play a game for the Padres. That'll probably be Miguel Mendez, and that's just about it. Um, so the Padres are 29th on this list, and that's thanks to the Cruz Schoolcraft, their first round draft pick, being the 88th rated prospect in all of Major League Baseball. We'll move on to 28 on the list, where it's the LA Angels, who the difference between them and the Padres for 28 and 29 is just where their top prospect is ranked. They have the 81st rated prospect in baseball in Tyler Bremner, and that is their only top 100 prospect. And they have five guys that are rated 50 or higher, with that being Bremner, Ryan Johnson, Nelson Rada, Johnny Slawinski, and George Klassen as well. Five prospects of 50 plus, and only one top 100 prospect. This is just a weak system, and generally speaking, when it comes to the Angels, if you're good enough to be a top prospect, they probably rush you through the system anyway. Hence why probably they'll drop by next year's because Bremer will probably get some major league time this year, knowing the LA Angels. Number 27, this one shocked me, especially with the way that they sold at the deadline last year. It was the Arizona Diamondbacks at 27 here. Only one top 100 prospect. That's Ryan Walshman, who's the 59th rated prospect in Major League Baseball. And just some of the prospects they acquired have not really generated into much. Cole Drake was one of the pitchers they got in the Merrill Kelly trade. He really struggled in AAA Reno. They only have five prospects of 50 plus, which is Ryan Walshman, Casey Cunningham, which was their first round draft pick last year, which was a high school guy. Slade Caldwell, who is a high A guy, who's not a top 100 prospect yet. Tommy Troy and Demetrio Crescentes, who I believe was a 2022 draft pick. Yes, I got a card for him. Yeah, so the Diamondbacks have five prospects of 50 or higher grade, and only one prospect in the top 100, which is Ryan Walschmidt. On to 26, the Atlanta Braves, the first team on this list with two. And I think everybody else on this list will have at least two, other than one team that we'll talk about in a couple that only has one. But everybody else will have at least two. The Atlanta Braves have two prospects, a 68th rated prospect in all of baseball, left-handed pitcher Cam Caminiti, someone to keep your eye out for. He was he was the non-debuting prospect for them, and then J.R. Ritchie, which I believe was the debuting prospect I had for them, who could be breaking camp soon. And then they have 8 players of 50 or higher with Cam Caminiti, J.R. Ritchie, Didier Fuentes, who did get some time up in the major leagues last year, Tate Salvestein, their first round draft pick in 2025, second overall, Alex Lodis, who is their second round draft pick in 2025, Owen Murphy, who was their first round draft pick in 2022, who suffered some injuries, but he's going to be back this year, probably in Double A. Brooks McKenzie, who is the fourth round draft pick for them, um, who they took out of high school, and then Diego Tornes, who signed with them, who is 17 years old from the Dominican Republic. So someone they won't be seeing for another 4 years or so. But they have 8 players in the top, 8 prospects of 50 plus grading, and 2 in the top 100. We'll move on. Team with 2 in the top 100, and they've got 4 prospects of 50 plus. So they don't really have the depth, but they have the better top end talent, including the 24th rated prospect in all of baseball, Ethan Holiday, who they took in the first round, 4th overall out of high school in last year's draft. And then they also have the 70th rated prospect in Charlie Condon. I chose the Rockies over the Braves for their farm system. I know they don't have as much depth, only 4 guys, because only Jared Thomas and Ronnie Brito are 50 plus grade prospects. Everybody else, their 5th grade prospects are 45 grade prospects. So they don't have the insane depth. But their 2 prospects they have the higher end prospect in the Braves at 24. And then the second rated prospect is the top, or basically the same rating as Atlanta's top prospect, 70 to 68. I didn't think that was that much of a big deal to put Colorado in front of Atlanta because they had more higher end talent than the Atlanta Braves. Moving on, the last team we'll talk about that only has one top 100 prospect. I honestly wanted to put them a little bit lower, but this prospect system is definitely carried by the 7th rated prospect in all of baseball in Sebastian Walcott, and that is the Texas Rangers. They only have 4 prospects that are 50 plus grade, which is Sebastian Walcott, Caden Scarborough, AJ Russell, and Jose Corniel. I wanted to put them a little bit lower as well, and I feel like I should have, because Walcott is hurt, so I feel like I could have dropped him a little bit there. Probably I would take, at this moment, knowing Sebastian Walcott's hurt, you could make the argument that you take Colorado system over them. And you definitely take Atlanta's over them. So this is definitely a prospect system that is carried by Sebastian Walcott, being a top 10 prospect in all of baseball. And that's something that will have a lot of weight, and you'll see that towards the top of our list is the higher end prospects. The teams with the higher end prospects are generally rated higher, even if they don't have as much depth or things along those lines. So the Rangers are the last team we'll talk about with only one top 100 prospect. Moving on to number 23, and we're heading up to the north side, the Chicago Cubs. They have 2 prospects in the top 100. They're actually in the top 60, 55th rated prospect, Moises Ballesteros, who got some time up in the major leagues last year with the Cubs, got 20 games, had an 868 OPS, looked pretty decent there. And then Jackson Wiggins, their flame-throwing right-hander that's currently in Iowa, that I really hope to see in the major league sometime this year, a 70 grade fastball. He did struggle a little bit in 24, but in 25 he was pretty good. He did have a 4.66 ERA in Iowa, but that was only a 9 2/3 innings pitch, so nothing really to write home about there. And then they've got 7 prospects that have 50 grades or higher, and that being Ethan Conrad, Kevin Alcantara, Jefferson Rojas, King Kepley, Jonathan Long, and Josiah Hartstrom. So they do have a decent amount of depth, the Chicago Cubs, just not as much of the top end talent as other teams do. So they're number 23 on my list. Number 22 is the Kansas City Royals. They do have two prospects in the top 100, including the 18th rated prospect in all of baseball, with that being Carter Jensen, who did get some time up in the major leagues last year and looked, I believe, looked pretty good at a 941 OPS in 20 games, 60 at bats. He hit 3 home runs. He looks pretty solid, and he's somebody who's probably the catcher of the future for the Kansas City Royals. The Royals also have 8 prospects in of 50 plus grades. They also have one other top 100 prospect in Blake Mitchell, another catching prospect who's the 75th rated prospect in all of baseball. And then they have Kendry Churio, David Shields, Sean Gamble, John Hammond, Angel Bay Gomez, and Ramon Ramirez, who are all 50 grade prospects or higher for the system. A lot of younger guys in that list. Gamble and Hammond were first round draft picks last year. I believe Ramon Ramirez was a 2023 signing, and Gomez was a 2025 signing, 17 years old in that system. So the Kansas City Royals come in at number 22. Moving on to 21, the San Francisco Giants, where their system last year was not the greatest, but that definitely has taken some steps up because now they have 2 top 44 prospects in all baseball. Bryce Eldridge, who did make his debut last year with the team, is the 25th rated prospect in all of baseball. He did struggle a little bit last year, but very limited sample size there for Bryce Eldridge. And then they also have the 44th rated prospect in baseball, Huascar Gonzalez, who spent the entirety of 2025 in Dominican ball, which I'm anticipating he probably spends some time with the ASL, and then maybe gets into low A. And then the Giants also have 8 prospects of 50 plus grade: Luis Hernandez, Johnny Level, which both are young guys due up in 29 and 30. Gavin Keelan, Dakota Jordan, Bo Davidson, and Jacob Breshama. All these guys are not expected to be up within the next year. They're top, because when you look at it, for the Giants, it's from 2 to 8, 2 to 9 on their system. It's 29, 30, 29, 28, 28, 27, 28, 28. So they got prospects coming up soon, just not this year. Move on. This one kind of surprised me to see this team this low in the ratings for me. It's the Tampa Bay Rays, because now we'll start talking about teams who have 3 prospects in the top 100. And for me, it was just the lack of top end talent when I was trying to compare Tampa Bay's system to other systems in their area. It's just other teams had higher rated prospects than the Tampa Bay Rays, who are at 20 on this list, who do have 3 top 100 prospects. Number 63 in all of baseball, Carson Williams, who did have a little bit of action with Tampa Bay last year, who had 32 games with them, struggled with 573 OPS, but he's more of a defensive first shortstop. Theo Gillen, who had a really nice season in A ball, who I hope will start in high A this upcoming year. And then Brody Hopkins, who I hope to see pitching for Tampa Bay this year. I don't think he'll spend too much time in Durham, which is where he'll start the year. One thing that the Tampa Bay Rays do have is depth, and depth coming from 13 prospects with at least a 50 grade on them. And there's obviously the top 3, then Jacob Melton, Daniel Pierce, Anderson Brito, TJ Nichols, Michael Forret, Santiago Suarez, Slater DeBrun, Nathan Fleewelling, Aiden Smith, and Caden Brodine. They've got a lot of depth, and if only they had a little bit higher of grade top guys. I think it's the lack of top guys for them that really put them back a little bit here for me. Because if we're just grading on depth, Tampa Bay is one of the deeper systems in all of minor league baseball, or on all farm systems. But unfortunately for them, just not that top end punch that we see from other teams, like the Baltimore Orioles, which is crazy because the Orioles made a trade with the Rays and gave up a lot of prospects, but it wasn't a lot of top guys. The Baltimore Orioles come in at 19, which is weird because they've been a top system for years. back with like Jackson Hollidays, the Gunnar Hendersons, the Adley Rushmans. They just don't have that top guy anymore. I say that, and they have the number 8 prospect in baseball, Samuel Basallo, who did get some time in the major leagues last year, struggled a little bit, and did get an extension as well. Dylan Beavers is also a top 100 prospect. He comes in at 69. And then Nate George, a 16th round draft pick in 2024, finds himself in the top 100 as he absolutely killed in 2025 through rookie ball, low A and high A there. So just a really strong profile there for Nate George as well. And then they do have 10 prospects that are rated 50 grades or higher with Luis De Leon, Trey Gibson, Ike Irish, Wayla Aloy, last year's Golden Spikes, Esteban Mejia, Aaron Estrada, and Enrique Bradfield Jr. They still have a very deep system. It just, other than Ballesteros, doesn't have the punch that other systems do have. We'll move on to number 18, the New York Yankees, who are a very top-heavy system, but they have some very intriguing arms in their system, along with a couple interesting bats, because they do have only six prospects though that are 50 grade or higher, and you can make the argument that these top 6 could be top 100 prospects. George Lombard Jr. comes in at 32. Carlos LaGrange comes in at 79. Elmer Rodriguez comes in at 82. And then Dax Kilby, their first round pick, 39th overall in last year's draft, comes in at number 94. This is a very top-heavy Yankees system because once you get past 6, they definitely kind of do drop off a little bit. Bryce Cunningham is kind of interesting, but the other 2 guys, Brent Hess and Spencer Jones, I do think Spencer Jones spends some time in the major leagues this year. And Carlos LaGrange and Elmer Rodriguez could find themselves part of either the rotation or in the pen for the Yankees this year as well. The Yankees come in at 18 on this list. Moving on, the Philadelphia Phillies come in at number 17 on this list, and it's just because they have a little bit higher of graded prospects because they got their trio. Now, after this trio graduates, this system is going to fall off because it's Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, and Justin Crawford, which I think could all graduate off these prospect lists by the All-Star break at the very latest. They have the 23, 28, and 53 area prospects, with Miller being 23rd, Painter being 28th, and Justin Crawford being 53rd. And they do have 7 prospects that have 50 grades or higher. Gage Wood, their first-round draft pick out of Arkansas. And then they also have Francisco Renteria, Arun Escobar, and Dante Nori. Dante Nori, I believe, playing for Team Italy right now as we speak. So they got a decent system, but once those top 3 graduate, there's gonna be some major question marks with this Philly system, and that's probably understandable because they trade a lot of assets as well, because they are a team that definitely goes all in basically every year with Dave Dombrowski. Moving on, number 16, the Toronto Blue Jays, as they have 3 prospects in the top 100, 2 of them in the top 45, with Trey Savage being at 12 and JoJo Parker, their first-round draft pick, being at 45. Now, Trey Savage will graduate off this list probably by the end of April because he will be on the opening day roster there, and he'll probably be the 3-star on that team. JoJo Parker isn't due up until 2029. He was that first-round draft pick, 8th overall. He's going to be a stud. And then Arjun Amala comes in at 77. They also have 3 other prospects that are not top 100 guys that are rated 50+, with Johnny King, Ricky Tiedemann, and Gage Stanifer. I do expect Tiedemann to see some major league action this year. Lefty, who could see maybe long relief or potentially spot starts here and there. Number 15, we have the Athletics on this list, as they also have 3 prospects in the top 100. They've got the number 4 prospect in all of baseball, Leo DeVries. They have the 41st and Jamie Arnold, and they have the 77th in Gage Jump. I expect Leo Leo DeVries could be up by this year. Gage Jump, I expect to be up by this year as well. The 22-year-old lefty who they got in 2024 out of the draft. Jamie Arnold, I'm expecting probably next year, starting next year sometime. They also have 4 other prospects that are 50 grade, and that'll be Wei and Lin, a lefty that they expect up in 2027, who signed out of Taiwan. The Henry Bolt, who's a second-round draft pick in 2022. Braden Nett, who signed back in 2022 with the Padres. He was part of the Leo DeVries trade as well. And Yonessi Colome, who is 17 years old in the DSL. This is a decent system though that has some fun arms coming up. The Athletics, they come in at 15 on my list. Number 14, a team I expect to continue to rise through the prospect ratings just because they have a lot of younger guys, and this is a team I think is going to continue to stock up prospects. We're talking about the second team now with 4 or more top guys, and that is the Washington Nationals. Coming in at 14. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a top 5 system come next year because they really are not going to have anybody graduating other than probably Luis Perales because they have four guys in the top 100, which is Eli Willits, Travis Segoya, Harry Ford's going to graduate, my bad. Harry Ford and Harlan Susana are their top 100 guys. Willits is 13, Segura is 54, Ford is 71st, Susana is 80th. And then they have two other guys that are 50 grade or higher, with that being Gavin Feen and Luis Perales. But also don't overlook Seaver King. Their 45th rated they're a 45 grade prospect. They're 7th one in their system. Somebody who I expect could be better this year and potentially get that 50 grade. So someone to keep an eye out for is Seaver King there on that national system to rise a little bit. But this is a national system that filled with a lot of young guys, a lot of promise. Eli Willits, I look forward to seeing what he does this year. He started off pretty well, only 15 games with Fredericksburg. He'll probably be on that Fredericksburg team to start the year. Willits, someone to keep an eye out for. But this is a prospect system that I think can continue to rise in the standings as other teams trade away prospects and have guys graduate. Like the next one we'll talk about here, the Minnesota Twins, who I expect to have a couple guys graduate off their list. They have 4 in the top 100. They have the 14th rated prospect Walker Jenkins, who I expect to make it up to Minnesota this year. He did have some time in AAA last year, 23 games, a 720 OPS. I just feel like they don't waste many more bullets with him in AAA. Kalen Culpepper, who is somebody who I think could be up late this year or early next year, who's due up in 2027. Eduardo Taid Culpepper was the 52nd rated prospect. Taid, 65th. He was part of that Duran Duran trade, who could be the catcher of the future for them, just not for another few years. And then Emmanuel Rodriguez, who I expect up in the major leagues this year for Minnesota. Another guy that's very athletic, very talented, just needs to stay healthy. Hit an 852 OPS in St. Paul last year. Someone I expect to absolutely be in Minnesota this year. 4 other guys that they have that are 50 grade prospects are Connor Prelip, who is a 2022 second round pick. Dason Hill, who is a 24 draft pick. They have Gabriel Gonzalez, an outfielder that they signed with Seattle back in 21. That was traded to them. And then Merrick Houston, their first round draft pick in 2025. We move on to number 12, the Cincinnati Reds, who have 4 prospects in the top 100, with that being the 22nd rated prospect Sal Stewart, who will graduate this year. Alfredo Duno, someone I really like, their 38th rated prospect in all of baseball. He hit a home run yesterday. I forgot against who, but it was another top guy. And then you have Steele Hall, their first round draft pick, 9th overall in this year's draft. And then Rhett Lauder, who is coming off of surgery, I want to say, because he did pitch in 24 with the Reds, 30 and 2/3 innings pitched to a 1.17 ERA. Then went down with I believe, Tommy John, and will be returning this year. Someone I really look forward to seeing pitch, Rhett Lauder. And then they do have 10 prospects that have 50 grades or higher. Their top prospects there that I just mentioned: Tyson Lewis, Hector Rodriguez, Cam Collier, Edwin Arroyo, Chase Petty, and Aaron Watson. It's a very deep prospect pool with some good upside talent and some good back end top 100 guys. But the ones we'll talk about next, coming up, all have four or more. I think the only a couple systems have fewer than or have four left that we're going to talk about, and then five or more. So we'll move on. The Boston Red Sox are coming at number 11 in this list, with a couple guys that will be graduating earlier in the season. They have the 19th, 31st, 56th, and 84th rated prospects, with that being Peyton Tolle, Franklin Arias, Connolly Early, and Kyson Witherspoon. And Peyton Tolle and Connolly Early have already debuted with the Red Sox. They did last year. Don't be surprised, even though he has an ETA tag of 2027, if Kyson Witherspoon makes a decent climb up the Red Sox system and potentially is in AAA by the end of the year. They also have 9 prospects that have 50 grades or higher, with that being Juan Valera, Justin Gonzalez, Jake Bennett, who is part of the Luis Perales trade, Dorian Soto, and Marcus Phillips. So they do have some guys that are 50 grade or higher, and they've got some good top-end talent. The Red Sox come in at number 11 on this list. Let's move on, as we are now in the top 10, and we head to the south side. The Chicago White Sox come in at number 10 here, as they have 5 top 100 prospects, and every single team except for one remaining will have at least 5 in the top 100, and that is and for the White Sox, it's 36, 49, 61st, 72nd, and 73rd, with Braden Montgomery, Noah Schultz, Caleb Bonnemer, Hagen Smith, and Billy Carlson. Braden Montgomery, someone I expect to be in the major leagues this year. Same with Noah Schultz, the lefty. Struggled a little bit in AAA last year, but someone I'm still very high on, that I feel like once he's able to throw consistent strikes, he'll be really strong. Caleb Bonnemer is someone I really like as well. He'll probably be starting the year in high A, maybe double A for the White Sox, as he is 20 years old, a second-round pick back in 2024 out of high school. Hagen Smith, lefty, I expect to climb pretty quick this year and make it up to the majors. He was their first-round pick in 24 out of Arkansas, and then Billy Carlson was their first-round draft pick this year. And then the White Sox also have 3 other prospects of 50-plus grades, with that being Tanner McDougal, Jaden Fauske, and Christian Apur, which I could see jumping into their top 5 when Montgomery, Schultz, and Hagen Smith all all graduate off of this list. Let's continue on into the top 10, where we have number 9, the Miami Marlins. Fish fam, stand up. This is a fun farm system, as they have 5 guys in the top 62, actually, which I feel like I could have moved this system up a little higher, but some of the other systems above them have just higher grade prospects as well. But the Marlins have number 17, 39, 42, 47, and 62. The top guy here, Thomas White, left-handed pitcher. I expect him to be up in the major leagues this year. He's a really fun build. He does walk a lot of batters, but he also strikes out a lot of batters. It's something to keep an eye on as well. Kind of like a Blake Snell type, where he doesn't care about walking you. Robbie Snelling is their second rated prospect. They got him in the Tanner Scott trade a couple years ago. I expect him to be up before Thomas White. Owen Casey, I expect to be on the everyday MLB roster, and he will graduate pretty soon into the season. Avia Arquette was a 2025 draft pick out of Oregon State last year, who looked okay in Beloit, but he played right after the draft, so not too much to read into there. And then Joe Mack rounds out their top 100 prospects, a defensive first catcher that is just one of the better fielding catchers we've seen in minor league baseball. So Joe Mack, someone else to keep an eye out for. And then they have 4 other guys that have 50-plus grades, and that'll be Kevin DeFrank, who is a rookie ball right-handed pitcher. who spent last year in the DSL and will spend this year in the DSL as well with 50 grade fastball or 70 grade fastballs. Nice. They have Sterling Caba, who is part of the Jesus Luzardo trade. Cam Camarella, who is their second round draft pick, and their competitive balance pick, 43rd overall. They took him out of Clemson. And then Kemp Alderman, a second round draft pick in 2023, rounds out the 50 grade prospects there. Moving on to number 8, a system that is on the rise, and that's because this team is selling and Heinblum is running this team, and that is the St. Louis Cardinals, who have 6 prospects in the top 100. Only one is a top 30 guy though. They have a lot of mid to lower range top 100 depth, but they have that one big guy at the top, JJ Weatherholt. I feel like I could have bumped them a little higher, but a lot of their guys are but 3 of their guys are back towards the back end of the top 100 at 87, 91, and 98. But they also have 5, 34, and 37, with Liam Doyle being their second rated prospect, their first round pick in 2025 out of Tennessee, who has a 70 grade fastball, absolutely sick. And then Reniel Rodriguez, catcher in high A, who also broke into the top 40. Joshua Baez is their 87th rated prospect and outfielder who got some that could get some time on AAA this year and could make it up to the majors. They expect him up this year. And Durangelo Sinja is someone they also expect potentially can be a decent riser through this list. He was the switch pitcher. He's probably going to focus primarily at right-handed pitching. And then Leonardo Bernal rounds out their top 100 guys. He's 98th overall, catcher in AAA, MLB ready, should be up this year. And they've also got 2 other guys that are 50 plus grade, and that'll be left-handed pitcher Quinn Matthews, who was someone in the top 100 a little bit for them. And then Jimmy Crooks, another catcher that is an MLB ready catcher that some people do have in their top 100s. It's just MLB Pipeline does not. So the Cardinals have a fun system to keep an eye out for. Next up, number 7, the New York Mets come into the system, and they would have been higher, but they did trade away 2 of their top 100 guys, with that being Jet Williams and Brennan Sproat. I have a feeling you could make the argument the Mets could have had the number 1, 2, or 3 rated farm systems with Jet Williams and Brennan Sproat in there, but this is a franchise that is just spawning out pitchers, and they look really good. Nolan McLean is the 6th rated prospect, and Carson Bench is the 16th. Jonah Tong is the 48th, and then AJ Ewing, 97th. One thing with the Mets this year, and I do expect some other guys to take a step up. Ryan Clifford, Jacob Reimer, Jack Wenninger, and Mitch Voigt are all guys that I think will make the step up once the top 3 graduate there. And also, they have 3 other guys in Clifford, Reimer, and Wenninger who could be up in 2026 as well. And then one guy to keep an eye out for, he is a 45 grade, but I think he is somebody who will absolutely climb, similar to a Jesus Madej conversation. That's Elian Pena, who is currently their 9th rated prospect in the system. He took Liam Doyle deep the other day. I think he can potentially, this time next year when we're breaking down system rankings, I think he could be the number 1 prospect in the Mets system. So Elian Pena is someone to keep an eye out for. He's number 9 right now, but I think he will absolutely climb. The New York Mets come in at number 7 on this list. Moving on, number 6, the Cleveland Guardians, who have 6 prospects in the top 100. Most of them are towards the back end. Their top guy is the 20th rated prospect in baseball, and that's Travis Bazzana, who currently is playing for Team Australia, which they just lost 7-2. So Korea will be advancing to the quarterfinals there. And Australia was eliminated. But they also have Chase DeLauder at 46, Angel Anel at 66. All those guys I expect to be in the major leagues this year who could graduate off this list. Ralphie Velasquez is the 89th rated prospect. Parker Messick, someone who also got some MLB time last year, is 95th. And then Cooper Ingle is 99th. So they've got a lot of guys, though. 5 of their top 6 guys are all 2026 ETAs, along with Cal Steven, who is part of their 10 total prospects of a 50-plus grade. Braylon Doughty, Chase Laviolette, someone to keep an eye out for that I think is really getting slept on in the system that I think he can make a climb. I might want to grab a Chase Laviolette card out of he was out of Texas A&M, and Joey Oakley also rounds out their 50-plus graded prospects. This is a system that they generally churn out some pretty good talent, but once these guys graduate, I think we could see the Guardians take a big drop in next year's rankings into the top 5, and we head to Milwaukee. The Brewers come in at number 5, and they have got 5 top 100 prospects. One player that's carrying this list right now, though, is their top-rated prospect, the number 3 rated prospect in baseball, Jesus Madej. Will start the year in Double-A. Don't be shocked when he gets to Triple-A and potentially makes his debut at 19 years old. Just one of the best prospects in all of baseball. And then you also have Luis Pena, who's 28, or who is not 28th, but he is 26th in all of Major League Baseball. And this is a Brewer system that took a big jump when they made that Freddie Peralta trade because they acquired the 51st and 100th prospect in all of baseball, Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat in that trade. And then you also have Cooper Pratt, who I expect to be up in the major leagues this year, who could be taking over Joey Ortiz's role at shortstop. He is just a solid overall player, 55 grade player, someone to keep an eye out for. And then the Brewers have 11 players that are rated 50 or higher. They have their top 5 guys there. And then they have Andrew Fisher, who is their first-round draft pick in last year's draft. Then they also have Logan Henderson, who got some time in the major leagues last year, Jefferson Quero, who should get some major league action this year. Bishop Letson, Marco Dingus, and Josh Adamczewski. There we go. Sounds good enough. This is just a very deep system, a very talented system with one of the best prospects in baseball on it. So we'll go from number 5 to number 4, and I was kind of surprised that this team was not higher on my list. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they have one of the best systems in all of baseball, carried by the best prospect in baseball, which I feel like I could have bumped them a little higher, but I liked another system a little bit better, which we'll talk about next for third, and then just the overall talent of the top 2, I think, are pretty solidified top 2 systems. But Pittsburgh Pirates are absolutely loaded with talent on the top end. They just didn't have the depth that some of these systems also have. They have the number 1 rated prospect in baseball, Connor Griffin. Please, please, please put him on the everyday roster. Pirates, do not fuck around and mess this up and start him in AAA. Bubba Chandler is their number 2 prospect, absolutely filthy pitcher that got into some action last year. An ERA above 4, but only 31 innings pitched. Seth Hernandez, someone I'm very, very high on, and I expect to be a pretty decent riser through the system, even as a right-handed prep arm. And then Edward Florentino, who is in low A, who had a really strong season last year between rookie ball and low A, who is 19 years old. And then they have 2 other guys that are 50 grade prospects, and that's where their depth comes in, and it's not as high. Hunter Barco, left-handed pitcher, who I believe got some time last year in the major leagues. He got 3 innings last year for the Pirates. I expect him to be on the roster. And then the Passbird, Joskin Garcia, who was traded over to them last year, or who was traded in the offseason to them in that Johan Oviedo trade. Struggled with Boston a little bit, but a very limited sample size, only 5 games and 7 at-bats. And then they also have Tamar Johnson, someone 4th overall pick in 2022, 45 grade prospect now, someone that just hasn't lived up to expectations so far. Number 3, the Detroit Tigers. They are an absolutely loaded system with 2 top 10 prospects in all of Major League Baseball, in Kevin McGonigal at number 2, Max Clark at number 10. They just also have more depth than the Pirates, and they have more top-end talent because they also have the 35th rated prospect in baseball, Bryce Rayner, who is the 11th overall pick in the 24 draft. for the Tigers. And then they have Josue Briseño, who was signed back in 2022 for them out of where was it that they signed him out of? Because it doesn't say. Cool. But he was an international free agent signing. Briseño, who is the 40th rated prospect in all baseball. They have 9 that are rated 50 or higher. Max Anderson, who could be seeing some major league time this year. He was in AAA last year. Hao Yu Lee, who could be seeing potentially some major league time this year as well. Thayron Lorenzo, Chris Rodriguez, and Jordan Yost, who was their first round pick back in 2025. Just an absolute loaded system for the Detroit Tigers. But let's get into number 2 here, which this system is loaded as well, and that is the Los Angeles Dodgers, because the rich keep getting richer. They have 5 in the top 100, 13 prospects of 50 grade or higher, which starts off with some high-end talent. Their 15th rated prospect, Josue DePaula, and the 27th rated prospect, Zaire Hope. They have 3 in the top 30. With Eduardo Quintaro as well. And then a couple guys towards the back end, number 60 overall, Mike Sirota, and then number 92 overall, Emil Morales, with another 8 prospects after them that are all 50 grade or higher, with that being River Ryan, Jackson Ferris, Alex Freeland, who all should be seeing major league time this year, Charles Donovan, Christian Zazuda, James Tibbs, Adam Serwanowski, and Zachary Root. And I have a feeling a lot of those guys will get moved, traded. But this is a Dodger system that continues to be loaded year after year after year, because they spend a lot of money on the team and they still acquire prospects and they have really good development. This is just a very, very good Dodgers team that has one of the best systems in baseball. So they will be good for years to come. Which leads us to number 1, the best farm system in Major League Baseball right now, the Seattle Mariners, who have 6 prospects in the top 100, in the top 80, and then 8 prospects of 50 plus rated prospects. Starts off with the 9th rated prospect in all of baseball, 2023 first round pick, Colt Emerson, who could be seeing some time this year. Cade Anderson, their first round pick last year. Don't be surprised if he makes his major league debut late this year or early next year. They expect him up in 27, but he is somebody who I could see as a fast riser in the system. Ryan Sloan, as the 33rd rated prospect in the system, a fun young talent, right-handed arm that they drafted in the 2nd round in 24 out of high school. Luzardo Montes, just a power first bat. 65 grade power, who could potentially be up late this year, most likely early next year. Michael Arroyo, who should be up this year. He was playing for Team Columbia, if I remember right. Yes, Team Columbia. And then Johnny Farmelo is their last top 100 prospect, 78th overall. And then they have Felnin Celestine and Luke Stevenson rounding out their 50 grade prospects. Just an absolutely loaded system with a lot of top end guys, and just one of the best systems in all of baseball. But that is the top. That is rating all of the farm systems in Major League Baseball. Quick recap, and then we'll head on out. Astros at 30, 29 is the Padres. Angels are 28, Diamondbacks 27, Braves 26, Rockies 25, Rangers 24. The Cubbies 23, the Royals 22, the Giants 21, Rays 20, Orioles 19, Yankees 18, Phillies 17, Blue Jays 16, the Athletics at 15, Nationals at 14, the Twins at 13, the Reds at 12, the Red Sox at 11, and for the top 10, the White Sox at 10, the Marlins at 9, the Cardinals at 8, the Mets at 7, the Guardians at 6, the Brewers at 5, the Pirates at 4, the Tigers at 3, the Dodgers at 2, and the Mariners at 1. That's going to do it, though, for this video. I want to thank you guys, as always, for watching. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, follow all of our social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. and we'll catch you next time.